Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6:01.
Six on the dot.
It's 6 on the dot. Adopt the agenda as read, or is there any changes? If not, the agenda is adopted.
A motion.
A motion,
So, second.
need to approve minutes of our regular meeting of March 3rd, and you have the minutes in your hands.
Can we, get the board vote on each item as we go through?
Oh, yeah.
Different things, fine, thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So there, any additions or corrections on the minutes? March,
Thirds.
that's our regular meeting.
Motion.
Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept the minutes of March 3rd?
Second.
All in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? Motion carries. Minutes of the special meeting we had following the election, March 4th. Any corrections or additions? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor of approving March 4th minutes?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Before the highway report, I just wanna thank Joe Polio for his many years being on the board. He did a lot for our community, and I wish him well. And, hope speed for the best for this board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Toby, you've been busy today.
Guess what happened? Had some flooding over the, not, well, mainly, not really because of the water, but mainly because of the frozen culverts everywhere. Mainly, Fisher Hill had some. Eastman Road, Illingsworth was impassable this morning. It's fixed now. Fisher Hill is fixed also, and so is Eastman. And Kidder Hill is still impassable as of the moment right now. Tomorrow it will be open back up. It's open to the first house now. But it took a while longer than we thought to get the culverts unthawed and the water off the road this morning. So, we're gonna spread the rest of the gravel with the contractors tomorrow. And then move on to all the small washouts, like, Hall Ranch has a small washout on it that needs to be fixed. Ledge Road will be fixed tomorrow as well. Some ditching that needs to be done at the bottom of the Ledge Road, and there's some washing up on the hill. And then we're just gonna wait for all the small little washouts till the ground dries up a little bit, and then just fix them with a grader as we go. But other than that, about it for that.
You have enough gravel?
Oh, yes, got plenty.
Is that just something regular gravel? Or is that-
Yeah, they're not really deep because of the frost still in the ground, so luckily it only went down to where the frost level was. So it's really just filling in over the, like, the road builder and what the base of material, so. It shouldn't take too much. I mean, it's not gonna look perfect by any means, because there's still snowbanks. So we can't really see what's underneath the snowbanks. But the driving lanes themselves will be good, and as time goes on, as snowbanks melt back a little bit, we'll do some more touching up to them, make them like they're supposed to be.
And you saw the washout before Ledge Road on 121.
Yeah, that's gonna be fixed tomorrow.
Any other questions for Colby?
Are we able to get the rest of the assault?
I'm still waiting on, I believe, 3 loads. I have the 10 right orders, I got 3 on order, so.
Excess weight permits,
We typically just approve those and authorize myself to sign and issue them.
okay, so you need a motion,
Well, second,
okay? All in favor of the excess weight permits that are listed here?
Aye.
right,
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it, that one for the excess weight permit listed on the agenda. Certificate of completion for town roads and bridge standards.
This is just the town road and bridge standards that we approve every year. It just says that the town is still following the standards that the select board adopted back in July of 2019. So that's this first page. And then the second page is the annual financial plan. And this, the Megan Brunt from V-Trans, she takes the approved budget for the highway. And they come up with this financial plan. It includes the money that we will receive from the state of Vermont. So the second page is just signatures approving that.
You need a motion,
how much do you get from the city?
This shows that we go. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this shows just over 1 million. No. It says income, state funds. And it breaks it up between class 2 and class 3. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's already with that we got for us.
Okay, so that makes sense. Okay, so class 2, it says 85,000 and class 3 is 52,000. So that's,
We always estimate for revenue of 100 million.
okay, and then there's 863,000 for town tax funds, so. Okay, that's where that one is.
So they don't quite match it with the.
Yeah.
company.
Mhm.
So
any questions from the board? I have a motion to approve, the certification for the town road and bridge.
So
standard.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. So do we need to sign that today?
Yeah, we'll just pass it around.
All right. And along with that, we have the town highway annual financial plan.
Yeah, and that's the page 2
Okay,
of that.
So I'll make a motion to approve. You've already explained that.
Yeah.
So the motion to approve that, I make a motion.
do I have a second?
right,
All in favor of approving the town highway and annual financial plan?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, it's approved. Front walkway at the town hall, when will it get fixed?
That's what I wanna find out. I would like to do it. It's kind of put a little flooding thing, kind of a damper on it a little bit, but I'd like to do it when I get done with that stuff. While we're waiting for the road to dry out, or we can get out, actually do some other stuff out there, I could probably do that while we're waiting, so. We just gotta order the granite and concrete and stuff like that, so. I need to know when you guys are fine with it getting done.
We had talked about this way back, and I think I had 5,000 in my head. That was, Nathaniel was gonna do some stonework, but he didn't have, workman's comp. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
No, that's correct, and that was a few months before he was then hired as a town employee. So Colby has talked to Nathaniel, and he said that he's willing to do it as a town employee. And the other highway crew members would help him do that work. And then, yeah, the town would just have to pay for the materials.
Yeah.
and then as the town employees covered under Lincoln's company.
Yes.
He has a couple ideas, he had a couple questions though. One of them was, he said that the concrete was kind of rough, on the rest of it, and whether or not you guys would want it paved in the middle. He said it'd look nicer if it was paved in the middle and then the granite wrapped around the outside of it, but. I mean, the configuration on how exactly you want it done, that can be changed. But,
I don't even know.
I mean,
Where
I can have-
exactly is it, right? in front?
yeah, raise a concrete block out front. They wanna put it, pretty much cut the way I read it is cut the outside off and put a granite curbing on it. I don't know if that's. I don't know, it didn't seem like the plan was to repave or do the whole entire thing. I think it was just to fix the edge of it, but. He was just concerned with if we do the granite curbing, the concrete on the backside of the curbing isn't gonna look as nice. He said it just would look a lot nicer if it was like a paved top. But,
I think we talked about doing the entire thing, but I think there's a cost factor involved.
well,
In
it's
time.
gonna be cheaper now that the town is doing it. So you can factor that part in there, but
Materials.
the material's the same price, but you're not paying a
Oh,
contractor
right, I
to do the work now, so. You're just paying, you gotta pay us anyway.
I think this conversation preceded me as well,
So, yeah,
so,
proceed.
yeah, I don't know anything about it.
I mean, I can have Nathaniel figure out some things and. Then you guys can take a decision off of that, or if you guys just wanna stick to exactly what the plan was before, we can just stick with that.
Would you have to do the part at the same time?
I would have to, yeah, we probably would take the whole entire concrete block out, we'd cut it and then chisel it out.
It'd be easier to get it out.
Yeah, and then I pull it out piece by piece, probably with the excavator. Then we set the whole one, the new stuff back in with the machine as well.
How will that impact access, like, for how
We'll
long?
have to use the walk ramp, the
The
ramp.
ramp, and you
Yeah.
could get, oh, okay. so
Parking
this-
lot will be closed off, and the ramp will be the only way to accessible, you have to park further down the street. Even if we do it the way that you guys have it planned, we'll still do the same thing,
Right.
so. I just don't want people walking around with machineries.
No. No, I understand.
How much time?
How much time will it take us? We could probably do the project in a day, but I'm guessing it's gonna, or maybe a day or two. That's more of a question for Nathaniel, I'm not a mason, he is, but he told me a day or two. But then if we do concrete, it's gonna, probably should dry for a day too. Once we're done. Yeah.
I would-
It's a holiday, I think that federals have on Juneteenth that we don't have on, so the post office.
would be closed,
Closed, I think that's a federal holiday,
yes.
so that would be, it's not.
We don't have it close, so it's just post office.
Oh.
And check into.
But it certainly should be done in the summer, I mean, not, in the
Well, we can do it in the spring. I just would like to get it done and out of the way before I move the excavator out to Derrick Road, where we're doing the grant work, because once the excavator goes out there, I'm not bringing it back till it's done.
Okay,
It's gonna be out there for a while. I mean, we got all of Hall Ranch Road needs to be, trees need to be cut, ditched, and culverts replaced. And if or not, we get 121, I probably would just move it right straight to 121 and do that too, so. Plus all the other culverts that are, need to be replaced badly, so. I prefer to, before we get into the dry months. Daniel said it won't affect the process.
doesn't matter, okay,
For
that's
doing
really
this for this
question.
project, but, I can't do anything with the machine out in there, and otherwise, because it's too wet, so. That's why we figured now would be the time, like, probably not this week coming, but the week after that, but.
So we'd be in budget, right?
Yeah.
There'd be access to the post office, you just have to use the ramp,
Yeah,
and then we just need to decide what day is gonna be.
yeah, that's all I'm asking, is whatever days off, I mean, we have to. Look into the weather and hope that the weather is good, and we might have to change it a day if the weather turns bad on us, but. That's the only factor really, I would think, but, I mean, it's not like. The first little bit of the project's gonna be a little noisy cutting it, but. Once we cut it, it's not gonna be that, we're gonna be quite quiet, so.
As long as people can get their mail. I guess that's the important
And I
part.
think the important thing is safety issues for the walkway and your time. And we're not gonna start this project and then go on to something else and not
Well,
finish
that's
it.
why I wanna close the parking lot off, I mean, it's gonna be, once you start, it's not like you can stop. It's kind of like you have to finish it.
And they are closed on the 19th of June. Yeah.
Does that feel late to you for all those other
Yeah, it's
reasons?
kind of pushed back into my,
Excavator,
Yeah.
fall ranch road season? Hmm.
Well, give us a heads up when you think you can do it, so the board's aware and the post office is aware.
Or at least kind of set a target date for next week,
Yeah,
2 weeks, I guess.
probably 2 weeks now, I would
first week of April.
probably, I'd like to shoot for, let's say. The 31st, in between the 31st and probably the 2nd. I'd like to do,
April Fool's Day.
yeah, if I can,
Weather dependent.
Weather, yeah, that weather is like-
Hugely weather
if
dependent.
the weather cooperates, I should be able to get all the granite and everything here before then.
Okay.
I just gotta start ordering things.
Do you think you'll be able to have those materials in by the time?
I probably, if I order them this week, I mean, I probably could have them by the end of the week, I would think. I don't see why not, I don't know, Amber, you know how fast that granite freezes is?
They're pretty quick.
Yeah. So,
They had
I think you're-
usually, if you're doing random cuts.
Makes sense to make the call and at least target that.
Yeah.
Is there any public comment?
Do we have the public who can?
Was a budget approved for this before Stephen Buzz got on the board? Is there a way to go through the minutes to see?
And me. I wasn't on board.
I know we came up with, I think he did give us a bid of 5,000, and I know we had 6,500,
Thanks, John.
and we had town building funds, I think, that were left.
and how much wasn't that, more than that $5,000?
I remember the bid to be $5,000 exactly, but that's purely off memory,
Well,
so.
how much was the money you guys have available?
I mean, it's within the budget, so.
Yeah, I'm basically gonna say, we don't have it in the town hall maintenance budget, I think we've already expended it in the expenditures. Pretty much, but then we still have the money that is supposed to go towards the fire estate,
Mhm.
so that would still be used, it could be used. Instead of 30,000.
Nathaniel said it should be less than $5,000 for the material, well, for the materials and stuff, so.
The 5,000 was what he was
I
contracted.
think, yeah,
With
if
labor.
he was gonna charge $5,000, I would think that there was still something for him to make money on it, so,
I hope so.
yeah, I hope so too, so. I mean, I can, I would at least think he was gonna make $1,000 on that whole,
So I'm gonna make an assumption that Nathaniel's gonna take the lead on this.
yeah. I'm just gonna be there to do what he wants with the machine, so.
Is it important to hear the quote on the materials before we go ahead? Or?
Yep.
Are we comfortable with it?
I would want,
I think we
well,
should-
that was at least, what, over a year and a half ago
Yeah, I think maybe it's worthwhile,
or more?
just making sure they're reasonable and accessible. I don't know, I feel uncomfortable with it, because I wasn't part of the conversation, but
No.
I don't think it's something we shouldn't do. I think we should do it, but we should just be
Mhm.
fully apprised of the cost, and if it's within our means, I guess. But do we have to do it, is it a must do?
Well, for
I-
safety,
Is
it
it?
should be done. It's
Okay.
it's been like that too long,
Okay.
and we don't want somebody tripping and having
I
a.
certainly don't wanna hold it up.
I wanna mention some, check with Michelle too and find out what days may not be good for her, or some days might be busier than others, she has periodically cars pull up to load and unload.
Yeah. I mean, they are,
Yeah, holiday that they're closed.
I just hate to move the thing 6 times.
I think that's- I think that's every day that she has cars that pull up with unloading.
Multiple times.
Multiple times.
Different orders to Chester and all come through. I mean, more reading formally, not all of it.
We talked to Michelle first.
Yeah, I
And
talked
don't
to
have
Michelle.
foot traffic either from people coming to get their mail, but those off anyways.
Morgan, do you have time to talk to Michelle about that?
I could probably talk to her tomorrow.
Do that.
When I talked to Michelle, are we waiting on prices, or is Colby gonna get prices?
Needs to get some prices and let us know.
So when I talk to Michelle, am I giving her a time frame or just?
You're saying a couple of days?
We're asking her if there's,
I'd ask her
Times.
if those days, if it would affect her too much.
or do we need to wait for a holiday?
Is it, yeah, just ask her if that'll affect her too much first, and
Go from there.
if it does affect her too much, then we can figure out something else, but if she can.
Okay.
If that's fine with her, then I'd rather do it before it's scorching hot out too.
Okay.
Okay, moving on.
How
Oops, sorry.
would we be able to get the estimate on the materials?
I can call, tomorrow I will not be able to call, because we'll be busy tomorrow with the flood stuff. So, probably Wednesday, I think everything will be died down enough that I should be able to. But at least tomorrow, I can get a full schedule.
Our next meeting's not till the 7th, and so is that something that if we're under a certain amount that we're comfortable with, we can move forward with, or do we need to meet again?
I think it's a no-brainer, we're not gonna get it done any cheaper.
When we put this out to bid, Nathaniel got the bid for
Right.
whatever it is.
And now it's gonna
We
be
all
materials one.
we agreed that time,
Yeah, I
if
think
it had to be done, we would do it. Now we're nickel and diming it again.
Yeah, so if we're under 5,000 and.
Yeah, I'm approved for 5,000 and under, so.
Yeah,
Okay,
do we wanna vote on that if we get the materials validated? And the post office is good, and we move forward?
Make a
making a motion,
Make a motion.
second it.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor for the walkway to get bids beforehand. Come up with a timeline. All in favor?
Second, he seconded,
Yes, sure.
okay.
All in favor? Say aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. For year 2026 sand bills, request for proposal. Did you have?
You all should have a copy of that. It's pretty much copy and pasted from last spring when we put this out to bid again. This year, the quantity was changed to. I didn't keep the copy from it.
1,500.
Okay, 1,500
Yards.
yards. I don't know, you want it?
That's half the amount, it was half the amount that we normally buy, we normally buy 3,000 yards.
Why are we doing that?
We lowered the budget, that's all I can afford.
We had extra sand too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we
bought
had
an
extra
extra
sand.
1,000 yards last year.
Okay, so it's like budget, but you have that.
Yeah, so we're kind of just, I guess, leveling it, I guess, you know, right?
You need a motion on this too?
Yeah, there would be a motion to advertise and take that project out to bid.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and we have, a vote now. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Let's hope we have enough sand.
Should have plenty.
And Kurt's would have some.
Yeah,
And we have paving bids to open.
So there's two separate projects, there's a town-wide paving projects, and then there's a Route 121 East paving.
Okay,
Each, I think I separated it into each project.
no, there's two different files.
is there more for one project,
No,
The
there's
town,
with a sticker?
uh,
three of each.
yeah, there's three bidders each, the townwide paving projects had multiple locations.
Oh,
But the Route 121 east is that one project you could do the grant for that.
But the approval is not based on the separate items, it's on the whole amount.
I mean, they have broken it out, so we're gonna have to look at them when we get it.
Right, but you're gonna approve it on the whole amount.
sad price out.
Alright, so this is Basin Brothers.
Which project is it?
Route 121 East paving, 2025, $165,392.55. This is Fuller Sand and Gravel. Route 121 East. $174,511.80. Springfield paving. Route 121 East again, $181,490.22. Basin Brothers. Townwide paving projects. This is $216,849.70.
And that was what Basin is it?
Basin Brothers. Alright, Fuller Sand and Gravel. $236,050.90. Springfield paving. $245,464.86. Well, and property insurance.
That is.
Okay, so, you wanna look the bids over?
Well, the highway.
The highway.
I thought these last ones are supposed to be broken out for the.
I haven't seen them, so I don't know, but they were listed as location 1 through 4. And then there's a total number, there was a spot for locations 1 through 4 to be added together. So it's likely he read off the grand total number.
I just read the total number, yeah.
Okay.
Did they break out the bids or different spots?
Well, they are broken down,
That's all right. So the town water is full.
So the highway committee will review these?
No, I think the whole select board should take a look at it.
Oh, definitely look at them,
For
but
the whole highway committee.
No, but we-
Approximately $480,000 for paving. If you take the two lowest bidders here, you have 381, so you've got another $100,000, so,
Mhm.
you may wanna pick
Oh,
that
well,
something else.
To pay,
I thought that when I didn't mean that we all wouldn't look at them. I thought that the reason we had committees, that the highway committee would be able to look at them and make sure they're appropriate? But I mean,
I just would like
That they
all the
covered
select board to be aware of.
oh,
how it's
100%, 100%, I didn't mean that, I thought maybe that there would be a,
done, 'cause we're not all gonna be here someday,
right, but if you would, I guess.
and other people should know how to do it.
Okay,
How much, John, did you say there was left over?
About 100,000.
100,000, so.
These are long.
I think 100,000 you probably could either do from, like the new pavement from in Homeville to the bottom of the hill, or you could do from the black, the dirt to, just past Lisa's. Both those sections are the next worst.
These are a lot lower than I expected.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty impressed with that. That was Basins.
Yeah.
Together, Basins always
You
gonna
actually,
be
you actually
cheap.
read them in order on both,
Yeah.
most times.
They're all of them are lower than.
Yeah, that's true.
But I don't know how, if we can add another project to it or not.
I think we have to redo a whole nother bid probably.
for a separate bid, for
Yeah,
a separate
yeah, for a
location.
separate project bid, I would think. But if we could do that, if we have enough money, then we should jump on it now, so when they do come, they could do. And if
Do it
Basin
right.
said, get it, they could do it as well as the ones they're already doing here.
Well, I think you could probably add to it, because I don't think you want to put it as a separate bid, and then end up with two different contractors doing it now.
Mm.
I'll have to figure that out.
So, I think you can add extra payment to that.
If we get another $100,000 done, then we're in pretty good shape for our paving for quite a while, I would think.
So you're looking at the most serious roads that need to be done.
Hopeville is the next after these ones that are on there.
Mhm.
It definitely needs it.
Was none of Houghtonville and maybe?
Not now, but I gotta check culverts and stuff and, cause there's a couple on 121 I'd like to replace before they get here. And if they're gonna do Hopeville too, I'd like to replace a couple on Hopeville Road before they get here.
And
So-
correct me if I'm wrong, these have to be done before November 1st?
Oh, yeah, well, the way, so I talked to each one of the contractors, called me and asked me questions about the bids. And I asked them all, and it sounds like their schedules are all pretty open throughout most of the year, so. If we get on it now, we could probably get them here first of summer and then be able to enjoy the new pavement for the summer.
So you need to coordinate with them and your culverts, if you want your culverts done before.
As soon as we get a date down, I'll make sure they're done, and they'll be done before they get here. I'm not gonna repave them. The spots, once we do them, they're gonna be dirt till they get here. So each spot where the culvert's done, I'm just gonna leave it dirt till they get here, cause there's no point in just wasting the money, cause they're just gonna mill it back out,
Mhm.
so.
Okay.
So it is great they came in lower. Does the bid process allow extension? Have you done that before?
I don't,
Does the bid process allow expansion?
Are we allowed to add?
it doesn't say yes or no, I know,
Okay.
just ask for those different spots.
And all things being equal, they do a similar job.
Well,
Yeah.
either that, or you can do what that comes to and save the 100,000 for next year with the 100 and whatever you're gonna put in the budget.
I've never worked before.
Yeah.
And presumably.
I worked
once
Springfield
we-
paving at the state and they were pretty decent, but Basin Brothers is really good to us, they clean up after themselves.
Yeah, well, if the road's bad,
Yeah.
I don't expect prices to go down. Probably be better than,
And obviously we have to look and make sure they're all complete, these bids. Yeah, okay.
But I-
So would we take next meeting before we can go ahead and award them? Okay.
so we can meet and look. That's how we can-
Thank
I
you.
think I saw a question. Trevor?
Would you please refresh our memory how these projects fit into the budget, and are there any grants involved? Which part of the budget do they come out of, the highway budget as it was approved at town meeting?
They come out of, last year, we put in 120,000 for paving. Then we got a grant for 200,000 from the state, and then there's another 120,000 in for this year that starts July 1st, and that should total.
Great, thank you. Excellent, it sounds like we're well within the budget.
But it might be better if we save that 100,000 and put in 120 or 200,000 in the next budget, and then you can pave again next year or longer.
Well, if we do that, then next year we could pave, we probably could mill and pave all of Oakville to the blacktop, the big hill. But it might be smarter just to do that.
Yeah, we could.
I think we could probably put up with the road like that for one more year. I mean, it's really, in the winter time it is bad, but summertime it kind of irons out a little bit.
Are the real roads, survival?
Well, the road could certainly use some work.
Yeah.
It's in bad shape. Is that grant that we got to go towards the paving, is that straight to paving or is there a match?
There is a 20% match.
I see the 20% could come out of whatever's left over also.
Yeah, it would have to
Oh.
come out of that.
Right. And what was that for grant 30?
It was a 200,000 grant, so 20% of that is the town match.
That's kind of have to add that into.
Yeah.
Equation, yeah.
What you're saying is if we don't do it this year, the portion of the match we might lose.
Yeah, and then whatever's left, then we'll just put it back in the retreat and reserve in the balance sheet and save it for next year.
And hope we get wins.
What was the price on the dirt? Did it say the separate price for 35? Just so,
Yeah, right on.
from, yeah, cause if, I mean, if we can get 35 done for, I don't know, $100,000, we should be able to get home bill done for $100,000 the whole thing, so. Depending on the price of what it's, the worst part is milling around that bridge out there. Is the only thing.
The base and voters total for 128.
It was for, no, for, Route 35, it's about the same stretch of road, the only difference is, I believe, Homeville's narrower, I'm not. What, do you remember what the width was, Morgan?
Not off the top of my head, but I can figure it out.
He was on.
I think it was 22. 22 feet.
Like, it was the width of 35, I
Um,
don't remember what Homeville is.
35 was 216.
Oh, yeah,
yeah, 22.
yeah, I know, so we had to do some measurements, I mean, if we could make it to the bridge. Out there, then I'd say it would be worth doing it this year. From dirt to the first bridge, that would be worth it to me,
But that was the town-wide one,
yeah,
and that's all.
it's all separated,
The townwide one had 5,000 feet on Route 35. Location number 2 was paving all of Pleasant Street. Location 3 was paving all of School Street. And location 4 is the section of Hinkley Brook Road from, like right in front of the chapel, going towards Fire.
So I think that 216 was all of that.
That was all
So
of it.
35 would have been a subset of it,
Yes.
but it says 35.
Did they break out the strips?
I believe I can pull up the ditch.
This is 5,000 feet on Route 35. It's 216.
Okay,
But that's the total.
that sounds about right.
does it include all the other things then? Or-
They're all separate, those were bid out separate.
Oh,
Oh,
well,
base and total is higher.
the basic total isn't too, because that's makes a big difference.
I don't think they were included in it.
Yeah, the total.
Somewhere, no, yeah.
The ones that are separate.
295 is total.
Oh, okay.
For basin,
Were the totals for the other ones different?
Base,
Yeah, the totals for the other ones might be
That's why
different,
it looks so low.
now it looks like it's right.
Well, that's a bonus, we just.
Yeah, now so much Homeville. It was a good thought.
let's do our quick math. Let me see.
Okay, well,
295 plus 165, yeah, we're at 470.
And what was our full total, did that,
It's 580. Yeah, 490, I believe.
oh, there you go, so.
We got 20 grand
Just
left.
put the rest of next year.
It says something good right there. 181, I don't know.
On page 3, there's, right in the middle of the page, there should be a,
This isn't separated, what's the other one?
No, this one's fuller.
No, the other
The
one,
other thing.
yeah.
each
Okay,
subsection.
Springfield paving was 317,999.
For,
Springfield paper.
for townwide or?
Townwide. That sounds like a lot, that sounds a lot more. Where it's supposed to be.
Well, but saving, it says total bid here, and then either flip the last page. Okay, so this is this is Fuller Sand and Gravel, 302, $302,214.20.
And then can you just say the Basin Brothers total again? So I can make it.
John's get that one.
It's 295.
Yeah, 295.
Even?
This is Springfield.
right there.
So that makes it 460.
Wow. We got 20,000.
Yeah, Basin Brother, $295,000, $1.10. Big one.
00110. So it's 165, 390, 255 plus 295.
Suzanne?
Thank you, Kathy. Sean, did I hear you correctly that part of the funds we have this fiscal year is a $124,000 carryover from
No,
last
we had
year?
carryover from last year was 50 something.
55.
85.
55.
Okay,
It was a
and was
carry.
that carried over in cash? Or just the fact that we didn't spend it?
We
We
didn't
didn't
spend
spend
it.
it, so it's sitting in the reserve,
Oh, okay, got
and that's its specific use, and that's only its use.
it, got it, thank you so much.
Alright, sounds like we need to deliver more after, when you guys get together on those bids,
Well, you know,
okay?
okay.
So can we move ahead? All set? Kobe, others for highway. You said there were quite a few culverts that were frozen up on Pier Hill. Could anything have been done before the storm?
Couldn't tell they were
Alleviate
frozen,
that?
'cause they were under the snowbanks. Normally, if you leave the snow on over the ditch and over it's that. A lot of the times it acts like an insulation and it doesn't let the culverts freeze up. But this year, we didn't have that snow coverage at the beginning of the year. And over time, every time we got a little bit of water, it froze up in the ditches and it just builds up over time. And I mean, you could run around and try to calm throughout the year, but it's nothing I can do about it until the ground, like, unless we have enough snow.
Because you unthawed one recently.
We did, well, we didn't really unthaw it, luckily it wasn't really froze, it was only froze for about 2 feet of the outlet of the culvert, and the guys stuck chainsaws in there and cut the ice out. Until the point where the water started to come back through the pipe. Normally we don't have to touch them, if we don't get heavy rains like that, they thaw out on their own and they don't cause problems, but.
Mhm.
You get that much, we had over an inch of rain and I think they said that each inch was gonna accumulate to almost 2 inches of snow melt also, so. how much snow melt and that much rain in one time just was too much.
I just thought, I was just,
Yeah,
looking ahead of more preventative stuff
We-
before
we have
you lose the whole
thought-
road.
we have thawing rods, but we don't have a way to run them right now. Our generator's not quite capable of running ours. We can borrow, John offered to lend us his if we needed it and at pinch, so.
You can't tell if they're frozen until the weather changes, so it's warm and the water
Okay,
starts to run.
Yeah.
And when the water starts to run and if it goes through the culvert, fine, if it don't, it's frozen and then it'll go into the road.
We got really lucky this morning. I was able to take the excavator bucket off and I can stick the coupler of the excavator up into the ends of the culverts and it would push the whole ice piece up. And then once the water built up enough on the other side, it had enough pressure to shoot the whole piece of ice out the other side, so
Okay.
we got lucky today. But I mean, at the point that we're able to get the excavator up in there, the road was gone anyway. Even if I was up there last night with it in the middle of the night, I don't think I would have been able to do anything with it, it's just. The ice is so bad.
Okay. I was just
That's fine.
curious and that's why I asked the question. Kim, clerk and treasurer.
Gave everybody the quarterly expenditure reports, so I think that any sponsor have any questions, so I'm assuming everybody's okay. Just keep in mind the percentage that I sent, sorry about the first email I had sent, I sent you the corrected copy. That actually shows the percentage, and we should be hanging around 5% every 3 quarters of the fiscal year. Some of them you might see at 100%, that's because it's something that's paid once a year. A lot of it, something that's way over, it's really hard, I mean, off the top of my head, I might be able to answer it, but it's better if you could just kind of contact me prior, and I can actually bring that one particular account, I can tell you why it might be over, or what we used. So, given that, I've done the report, just an update, we had our last rabies clinic on Saturday, and thank you to the Grafton Improvement Association for sponsoring it again. We had 16 rabies shots that were given altogether in the 2 hours that we were here. 12 of them were from the Grafton residents, and 4 of them were from surrounding towns. So it was a really good success. Some of the other towns were asking how did we become so successful at doing it? How are we promoting it? Just trying to get ideas, and I would say the main draw is the sponsorship that we have.
Mm.
And that's really pulling people in. Then we did get a report on the Walker Bridge from Gary, and I have a conference call tomorrow morning with Ken Wing from our counselor, our bond counselor. So I'm going to be discussing with him what our next step is, when should we start applying for our bond. Right now, Gary comes in with about $942,000 is the town's share. And we paid all but right now $55,000 of the bond of the bridge. I believe the 55 is probably gonna come this spring when they start finishing up their little details. And I believe that's using the 5% contingent, almost all of it. But yeah, I'm still looking at just under 700 probably to bond.
So was that better than what you thought?
Yeah, it is, and I'm not taking interest rates, not for the when, I can give them a final figure. There's a lot of ifs, I haven't had to borrow from the bank. So I need to find out, do I have to borrow from the bank and they pay the bank, or they pay us directly, so. I've got a lot of questions, I'll go over the report more to you the next select board meeting.
Well, thanks, Kim, for that. It's helpful.
I'll just
And-
mention for the expenditure report, there are some things within there that are reimbursable. For example, the village park structure, you'll see that on page 4 is $30,000. that was reimbursed minus our MAP. And then there were other some highway projects. Kim also had a grant for, election supplies, so.
Those are not reflected in this report, the
it's
reimbursements.
Correct.
Gotcha.
You can see them in the revenue section, but not in the expenditure.
Thanks for pointing that out, Morgan. Anything else for Kim, anybody? Okay. Committee reports, cemetery committee, award cemetery bid. Didn't we?
I
didn't we just-
don't have too much except,
Okay.
the Holtville Cemetery. I think in the spring, we should try to finalize the acquisition of those two lots there. The last correspondence with them, that's when they wanted to meet. And the land that we have on 35. I think me and Buzz should sit down and see if we can't come up with a plan of what we're gonna do.
We'll take a walk and view it. Right?
And we also should look at. I guess, did you talk to DiBernardo?
Yeah,
What did he say?
he hasn't really done it yet, so,
Well, I think he is done. The map is in the safe,
yeah.
and I looked at it the other day, and it's nothing like what Don had for a map.
Yeah,
You know, it's entirely different, and, I don't know which is right and which is wrong, but,
give me one, I can ask him again. He didn't have one that you said he could give me, I'll ask him again.
Is that for Houghtonville?
DiBernardo said he didn't have one.
They actually give the line to me right then, let's see if I can have him.
There's one in the vault down there.
Okay,
And Don's is there too, that he finally did. And Burgess Cemetery is just different. And we should also check into the lots that people have acquired.
yeah, I have found, with recent personal experience, that surveys done on opposite sides can vary a little bit.
There's a lot of unknowns, they don't know who was there. And so we don't really know how many empty spaces there are.
There was a blaze tree that existed
Yeah.
100 years ago. All right, I'll see if you can send me another copy.
So thanks for working on that. Thank you, Buzz.
So are we awarding the bid?
Yeah, I mean, it.
The mowing.
some mowing bid. So we only had 2 bids, right? You wanna review those again briefly?
Well,
I have them if you would like to review them, but I know that,
we've reviewed the parks bid.
yeah, and the cemetery committee reviewed the cemetery bids. These are cemetery. Sorry.
So I think can I jump in here? I think in both cases, one of the bidders did not have workman's comp. So that would eliminate that person's bid, so,
And you called on that? Did
Uh,
anybody call them?
no, it was their insurance sheet was submitted
Oh,
with
okay.
nothing, it
Nothing
don't
on
have it, I mean, this is from the insurance company.
Mhm.
So. I don't know that there's. Well,
Just have to one.
this is cemetery, yeah, so I know for the parks, I'm jumping out of order, I know what we went into, but. Same for the cemetery, I'm assuming, right?
Have a different price.
Right.
Well, the cemetery committee reviewed.
Yeah.
Right, so go ahead and make a motion.
So, I'm waiting for a
Is there a
motion.
recommendation from that committee?
Well. If you look at your expenditure report, you'll see that you're at minus $7,000 right now. Whoever you do accept on this bid here, well, it's 18,024, you're gonna have another 6,000-7,000 on top of that, so you're gonna be in the hole for the cemetery, so when it comes budget time, in July for the new year, we've got to kind of adjust somewhere along the line. And we put enough in the budget to cover it, or we've got to find somebody different that's lower to do the cemeteries. And that hasn't been the case in the last 2 or 3 years, there's been nobody interested.
Would some of that come from next year's budget anyway, because this would go through the summer?
That goes through the whole summer,
Right.
and our budget stops June 30th.
Right, so we can take advantage of the budget that's in for next year.
Right. To finish paying, but you're still gonna be in the hole.
So we may have help.
So we just need to put enough in, if that's what we're gonna do every year, unless we can come up with something different. You don't have any Don Lawrences and like that to do the cemeteries.
Or Walter. So are we at a point where we're not gonna accept any of these bids?
Well,
We're not gonna accept this bid,
who's it?
Either.
either bid.
I don't know, yeah, I don't know.
I'm asking you guys, what, what's your
If you don't
pleasure?
accept the bid, I don't know what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
You have,
there's only one bid that qualifies without.
Right.
The workman's comp, I don't think we can do, so it's the 24K.
Right,
And there's a budget issue that we'll have to address,
that could go,
but I don't think that's gonna go away.
no,
So,
The same is the case for the parks,
you know,
even with the reimbursement for the structure in the village park. We have 30.
but, yeah, I do think the maintenance has to be done.
Mhm.
I gotta recommend the qualified bid, you know, the 24K, and then we're gonna have to have the budget.
yeah, I'll second it.
all right, we have a motion on the floor.
Oh.
To accept that bid for the cemetery, $24,000. And the consequences at the end. Put more money in the bid next time around. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. This is for cemeteries.
Okay,
Who won this?
There's another bid,
Ira Stevens.
I wish to.
Ivor Stevens.
Thank you.
Well, that's the only bid they qualified, because they have workers' comp.
We
We
understand.
haven't done that yet.
What's your vote, Madam?
I think we have the same scenario with the workman's comp.
The same thing, you don't have.
So for the parks, we had 2 bidders, one didn't have workman's comp. The total bid was 5,200, that was Ira Stevens ground maintenance, that does have workman's comp. We're a little less difference on the budget situation, but there is still some budget issue. But again, I think along with the previous discussion, we have to address the budgets going forward. So if we have a motion to.
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion on the floor for the parks bid of what was it? $5,200, and that's several parks, so,
Yes, that covers all spring cleanup, swimming pool, town graves, village park, Wilson Park, Winnie Park, town hall, and fall cleanup, so spring pool.
so we have a motion and it has been seconded, and what's your vote? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Kathy, who won that bid?
Ivor Stevens,
Ivor
ground
Stevens.
maintenance.
Highway committee, any report? Highway?
I don't think we have anything at this time, and maybe most
I
of
think
it.
we already talked about the bids.
Yeah.
John, I haven't really met you. We will get that.
Okay, Personnel Committee. This has been a few meetings back, had some amendments to the Personnel Committee, you have a copy. And what I added, and we were waiting on, Sullivan Powers, because they picked up on, something we did not have in the, personnel policy, was on vacation time and vacation leave. And I'll read it. Vacation time is accrued as earned time, not to be given all at once at the beginning of the year. This will ensure that large payout of vacation time is not paid out before it is earned. So vacation time is earned time. Any questions on the amendments? One's on alcohol and drug use. We have to put in for any CMV operators, which is commercial motor vehicles, which all our highway crew, run. They have a separate CMV manual for drug and alcohol use. So that's gonna be attached to the, personnel committee policy. Use of town issued cell phones, was recommended that we needed a policy about use of the cell phones. The town has issued cell phones, whereas needed for town employees to report incidents from out in the field, to make work-related phone calls due to Public Records Act. All correspondence within the town could be subpoenaed. Employees are not allowed to use the town-issued phones for personal use or posting on any social media accounts. The third one is under section 7, hours of service, responding to fire and rescue calls. Seeing that our highway crew has 3 members. 1, 2, 3, 4 members that are part of fire and rescue.
Oh, sorry, no, 3, I
So
thought you meant
3?
4 members in total, sorry.
No, 3.
You're right.
Employees' ability to respond to fire rescue calls while on work for the town of Grafton are allowed to respond to emergency calls provided that the road conditions at the time are in safe condition for travel that may be due to ice, snow, flooding event, or downed trees. The employees responding must notify the town office that they are off work duty responding to the fire rescue emergencies.
So does that mean that they're not getting paid?
Right.
They're off, okay.
Right. And when they come back on duty, they need to tell us. Back on duty. So I would like these amendments to be placed into our personnel policy. Any questions from the board?
These are all from VLCT?
Our policy, personnel policy is based on, VLCT. The one that's coming from alcohol and drug is from CMV manual. That was a new policy a couple of years ago that they, encourage folks with personnel policies to have that in our policy. The town issued phones, that was from, Public Records Act. Because if you're using your regular, personal phone to do business of the town, that information can be subpoenaed. Or actually, any correspondence. Morgan, you brought this to our attention. Maybe you can explain that in more detail than I can.
For instance, if Colby was on a road and needed to contact somebody at the town office or send an email, he would have to use his personal email. And because it's town related business, it could be subpoenaed, therefore his personal phone would be, yeah.
This all came about when we got town issued cell phones, which was pretty recent, within the last
Few
year.
months.
Yeah, last few months. Most of it, we didn't have before.
The vacation leave was a recommendation from our, last audit. Actually, he had recommended it previously, but we were waiting on the wording of it, so that's why it's a new amendment. Yeah,
Can you read what you decided on the leave?
vacation time is accrued as earned time, not to be given all at once, and that was a problem at the beginning of the year. This will ensure that large payout of vacation time is not paid out before it is earned. So it has to be earned.
Right, so what is your earn? What is your timeline? What is your months, weeks, year? What do you?
I didn't bring my thing,
This only has to do with is when you're getting done.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with the regular.
But still, I mean, you say, so if you get done 6 months in the year. What do you, I mean, there's gotta be a timeline or something,
I
right?
think it's in the policy, Buzz is looking for it right now.
I don't think the policy has any.
It doesn't have anything in it.
In full.
What happens if I wanna just take all my vacation time all at once, the first, as soon as I get it? It means I can't do that?
That has nothing to do with it.
It's when you get
It's
done.
if you-
Why can't you just put it in there saying that if you quit, you can't take, not gonna pay you for your.
It's when you get done.
It
with
has to
work.
be earned, like the person that took the whole lump sum hadn't earned that vacation time.
Well, I get that.
Yeah,
So
I
what's the
think,
schedule for earning it, is what I'm saying.
Right.
So I think we may need a little policy discussion here. Most commercial companies do this the same way. And it's gonna be different because, depending on your years of service, 1 through 5, you get 10 days, 6 through 10, 15 days, and year 11 beyond, you get 20 days. So my assumption would be, and we should probably add this, is that you take your number of pay periods and divide it by your years of service and you accrued a set period every pay period. So, if you get, 20 days a year, you have 52, you get, what is that, two days? Yeah, that's not it. Anyway, that, you would divide it up.
Right, so
So
it
it's
should
accrued
state that somewhere.
Weekly, monthly, something.
Yeah, the math is fairly simple, but we should probably state that. That's if you, it does say probationary employee, if you hire them, they can't take it for the first 6 months.
Yeah.
It does have that. But you're right, you probably need to expand it. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not on that committee.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I'm not on that committee, but that's the way. it
No,
goes.
no, no, that's why I'm putting this out, because I need to have the right word.
Yeah, so I would think you just take the years of service, and it'll change for you, if you shift into another band of years of service, your accrual would change. Based on that. And also, commercial companies that if you hire somebody that, in their 3rd week, they don't take 2 weeks off and kind of in work.
Well, I get that.
But as I understand, this only has to do with people that aren't getting done from the ballot. It has nothing to do with your current vacation right now, you haven't got to work so long in order to get it. It's if you quit the job, then this goes into effect.
I thought it was also when you start the job, it goes.
Well, Nathaniel doesn't have any vacation time as it is, he has comp time. But you can't take that from him, that's earned time.
Yeah, it does have some guidelines on that. There's a certain amount of carryover you can do, and it's got some limits. But generally, yeah, even for an existing employee, and it's important that you accrue it based on the band. Because as they go from like 1 to 5 to 6 to 10, they're gonna get more vacation, so they will accrue that through the year.
But we're not planning on changing how many days off we get now, right?
No.
Okay.
It's just how.
That caused a big stink.
No, it's
How
how
it
it's
adds
accrued.
up. I think there's a provision that you can talk to your supervisor if there's an exception and get it.
So you're talking vacation time, so what happens with the sick time, because we replenish all sick pay January 1st. Right, so that means you get another 56 hours every January 1st.
Yeah,
Is that working? Are you gonna calculate that the same way?
generally you don't, because you can't tell when you're gonna be sick. Vacationing, you don't find out, but sick time is. generally a work.
Sick
right.
As you go.
But we can make it up front. We get it, give it to us up front. So does that mean that if they were to leave, they can still get 56? Say February 1st, 56 hours? Or are you gonna kind of
It actually says sick time if you leave
Isn't,
isn't.
yeah, I wouldn't think sick time would be
say
covered.
time is not?
Vacation is up to, you only have the 5-day carryover, but I just read this yesterday. So I believe vacation time, you can carry over 5 days into the new year, and whatever your total is that you haven't used, you would be comped, but sick time, it says you do not get comped if you depart.
Yeah, if you leave, you usually leave your sick time. You lose it, you don't get paid for it. Like I didn't use all 56 sick days or whatever. I mean, rarely did I think, certainly.
And the same for bereavement, that doesn't need it. But again, let me know if I'm getting something wrong, but that's what I think I'm like.
So Kim, is this something you can figure out as to what's occurred? For time, I mean, I was just going with what, Sullivan Powers had put in their report.
Yeah, but I think they kind of wanted us to elaborate more on what was there and fine tune it towards our own personnel policy. They didn't give them kind of a detail other than we just need to address it.
And actually, I think I was reading bereavement time, it does say if sick time or personal time is not used within the year, these hours will at the discretion of the employee, will be paid to the employee at the end of the year, for the hours not taken or paid may be saved, not to exceed more than 240 hours.
Right,
In
so
the life of employment.
so you can take it when you leave, if you got the 240.
I don't know.
It doesn't actually.
I don't know if you can take it with you.
It doesn't say how, I believe.
Oh, in the past?
I want.
So that's what they were mentioning, that we have something that covers us so they don't take a big lump sum of time. Correct?
Yeah, it doesn't actually say, but we should probably address it, but, typically, an existing employee, you grandfather, because you can't change it in midstream. But for new employees, we should probably address it because it is a big hit, if 1 hour is pulled up. I went through that in a, where employees are going up like 700 hours and then leaving and the company just. Yeah, have a huge share. It's a problem, so.
Yeah. And the education, it's a big problem too.
Kathy, you mean,
But for existing employees, we had to have a transition. So we should probably have discussion.
Kathy, do you mean a lump sum by just when you quit, or do you mean a lump sum time during the time you're employed?
I thought the tension was it so that you get
Why,
hired.
but it sounded, the way she put it, sounded like it was during your employment.
Yeah, I thought that was.
Oh, cause I mean, I like to take 2 weeks off at a time.
That's not in question.
No, that's not.
It's-
I wanna make sure.
It's when, if somebody gave their notice January 1st, then they could take all, based on how it's written, it seems like they could take all of their vacation and sick time.
Well, they
even
can,
though-
they did it last year.
Right, and that's what we're working on to avoid, because it is a huge liability.
Yeah, it's a budget problem with.
Good for us.
Yeah, but if you have 4 or 5 employees do it.
Yeah.
Close together. they do it.
It's hard.
So I think further discussion probably.
This has to.
But again, usually if you do a change like that, you grandfather, the terms.
So when you say grandfather, the
Existing.
the
employees,
existing
like,
employee that's been here, say, 15 or 20 years.
Yeah, but it's a discussion, but to be fair,
Right.
you gotta have a change period.
So for the first 3 amendments, is that something we can move on now? Or do you wanna wait till we finish the last one? What's your pleasure? We need more discussion on number 4.
I think numbers 1, 2, and 3 are reasonable, and,
Well, it says accrued time, so, I mean,
but it's,
so it's, if you accrue for that time, you should get compensated for it, I think. If you don't,
I think,
so we
that
just have to come up with what that is.
I think the word, yeah, how it is accrued, is accrued by day or by week or by month. I just think that it's incomplete right now, I don't
Yeah,
think it's
it could be hours.
necessary.
Number of hours.
Right, I mean, that's, yeah, however one would do it.
I think it's just needs to have everything.
So is that something you can work on?
Sure.
Aren't you glad you're part of this board?
Yes, the whole formula proposed to you is.
Okay, thank you.
I just process.
Yeah, let's, table it for, so we come up with that last one. Any other comments on this? Any other reports?
Flood update.
Flood update, 2023 flood update. Anything, Morgan? Or John?
I don't have much of an update. We're still waiting on the drilling company to come out to Eastern Road. Last we knew, they're supposed to be here tomorrow, but that hasn't been confirmed yet, so. We're working with the engineers to try to get that date on the calendar.
Do you have anything, John? Appointments for local office. So.
So each year, the select board appoints, a whole list of offices, such as the planning commission, development review board, capital budget. So I have reached out to everybody that currently holds a position and that their term is expiring as of this year. And so on the column, mostly to the right, that says these persons appointed by the select board on April 17th. Those individuals are willing to continue unless it says otherwise. I'm just gonna pull up the list so you can see it.
So there's 3 vacancies.
So we have. I briefly spoke with Chris Wallace. He said he would continue on the board if I can't find anybody else. So we put it in the Grafton News, but I have not heard of anybody coming to eager to sit on that board. But I can talk to Bill Kearns, who's the administrative officer, and see if he has any other final ideas. So as of right now, that is vacant. Capital budget, all of that stays the same. Mike Waysville is willing to stay the constable, Michelle Dufour as the council on aging, Kim and Michelle as the dog census. Emergency management, committee would stay the same. Eric Stevens is the energy coordinator, Lannisters have been the fence viewers. Inspector of lumber, that has been vacant for a couple of years. Cynthia,
Why don't Cynthia take it? She's the tree warden.
I could ask her to,
Too late.
What do they do? What do you do?
Not very much.
So is there something you can ask Cynthia? Morgan?
sure, yeah, I can ask Cynthia. And then it's Cynthia also is on the solid waste district as our Grafton representative. There is another seat available, if anybody's interested in that.
Morgan, is Austin going to continue as the cemetery?
His
It's not expiring.
His term there doesn't expire until 2026. So next year I will ask him if he will continue.
Well, we need to do anything with this.
So if the list is okay, and given that I will ask Cynthia about the inspector of lumber.
Mhm.
Otherwise, typically the select board would approve that list of appointed offices.
I think we should. I'd make a motion to approve the list of the appointed positions.
Second,
Okay, all in favor of the motion? Any
Aye.
discussion, sir? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Just for my personal curiosity, what's the inspector of lumber do?
If you were delivered a cord of wood and you didn't think it was a cord of wood, they would come and help you out.
Oh, that's good to know.
Thank you.
You want your job now?
Do fine. Yeah, he doesn't even ask him. Yes, actually. Yeah.
Okay. All right, septic pumping ordinances, non-compliant letters.
So I should have looked today, but I forgot. I think there's 4 properties that were supposed to pump their septics last year. And they have not. So last spring, we sent this final notice to a handful of people. It essentially explains that we have a pumping ordinance and that it's needed every 4 years by October 1st. And then down here in bold, it allows them until May 15th of this year to get their septic pumped. If they fail to do that, then the town of Grafton would coordinate a septic pumping company to go pump that septic, and there would be a 25-day per day fee charged to the homeowner. I will say, last year when we sent these notices, everybody was very compliant, so I think it's effective.
So you said you had 4 people?
I believe there's 4.
Okay.
Yeah, and then in that same token, we will need to send letters to all of the properties that are due for pumping this year. And if approved, this is the letter that we had last year. I would pretty much just change the dates on it to be 2025 and proof submitted by October 1st of this year. There is a longer list of people due this year, so I think the sooner we can send that out, the better.
Yeah, good.
So would I be able to get a motion authorizing me to send these letters?
Okay,
So moved.
second. All right, we have a motion on the floor for, septic pumping ordinance for non-compliant letters be sent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Discussion on the short-term rental ordinance, discussion. You wanna start?
Sure. Morning, this sort of what you said. So, we spent maybe about 2 months since our last discussion. Maybe less, and in that time, we've gotten a lot of feedback. And, Morgan and I have worked together to produce the latest draft that is responsive to that feedback, with discussion, obviously, and, to the best. I believe that we have hopefully accomplished that. I know we probably won't satisfy everybody's concerns, but we're putting together an ordinance in response to those folks that felt this was necessary. And with feedback from our attorney, et cetera, we have obviously this if this last draft, it becomes an approved ordinance, it has to go to the attorney first. I think the most recent issues addressed include the, concerns about safety, health, fire safety and all that, which essentially the short-term owner, rental owner is responsible for complying to Vermont state ordinance, safety, health, financial obligations, including everything, including food and meals taxes, and whether that has to all be filled out, all the health, and cleaning guidelines and the fire safety guidelines. They have to confirm that these are, for example, carbon monoxide. We felt we could not go beyond what, or would not, I don't think we have the ability to go beyond what is required at the state level. Almost every section in our ordinance references the Vermont state code. Where we have made one alteration that is significant, there's much discussion on the amount of STRs in town and putting a cap on it. And our feedback came that some towns cap it at 20%. And that was the lowest we heard. We actually decided, based on the number of short-term rentals right now, which are somewhere around 35, that approximately 10%, 20% of our dwellings is about 100 areas. We went to the listers and got the total number. So we have put in the proposal right now that it's capped at 10%. Each year, at the beginning of the year, people will need to re-up their application. It's on a first come, first served basis. If you, and we also see a lot of them come off that have been on before. The number is very much in flux. So it's a first come, first served basis, but certainly in the first year, you would, of the owner's application, the price would be prorated. We recommended or decided against any kind of sliding scale for the application fee, because the administrative difficulty of tracking whether somebody has more or less nights used, we do not have the ability to track that. Whether somebody is a owner living in town, or the owner then decides to go on sabbatical for 6 months and is out of town, how do you determine that? So we felt strongly after discussion that it is a single fee regardless, for all short-term rental applications. There's too much maintenance and administration, and frankly, our inability to track number of nights used and things like that. We don't have that ability to track that. So that is the other part of this ordinance, and it has been posted. Did I miss anything? Oh, the other thing is the septic ordinance, the septic portion of the ordinance. The septic ordinance, we know, is under discussion with the wastewater management. I'm gonna say the committee name wrong. We do not believe that our septic requirements should differ from the towns, that we are not able to have a separate septic ordinance. So with the town ordinance, who knows how it's gonna work out, we just all received that letter from the water committee, and we would simply have to follow the town's guidelines. To be separate from that seemed impossible, actually, and unadvised. It just didn't seem logical. So have I covered everything, Morgan? And Yeah, the rest of it is still the same. Those were the areas, so that we addressed.
You just said two numbers, so I wasn't sure, I
Yeah.
don't hear well. Did you say that the number of existing short-term rentals is presently 20% of total, or did you say it's 10%? You gave
No,
us two-
no, our existing rentals now are around 35, which
35 in total or 35%? I'm not
no,
following.
35 in total, there are 35 units.
Uh-huh,
If we allow for 10% of dwellings to be used, that would be approximately 50. So we're below that cap right now. The municipalities that we heard from, the caps were at 20%, which would mean we could have potentially 100 units. And so we thought that seemed an awful lot, in our, just because we're a small town with a small number of dwellings. And so maybe considered arbitrary, but we put it at a 10%. So there's room. Now, if everybody, again, this is in flux, if every single one that we think exists now, we don't have that hard and fast number yet, but we're close. If every single one of them wants to continue to operate, then there is room for 15 more potentially.
thank you.
Does that make sense? Okay. Good. Any questions other than that? Okay.
And
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, first of all, I wanna say that I think that, you and Morgan did a super job on, modifying this STR, and I think it's very, very close. I wrote to you a couple of
Yeah.
nitty gritty suggestions, those aren't the ones I'm gonna mention tonight.
Oh,
The two I'm gonna mention tonight are, especially in the interest of time, are fees
Mhm.
and the limit, the cap.
Mhm.
So what's happened in the intervening time between when we considered this ordinance the last and now is our deeper understanding of what's going on with our school. And the risk that we have, that families are not moving into Grafton, children are not moving into Grafton. We stand to lose our school if we don't up our student population. And the data show that when a community loses its school, that is a breaking point for our community. I think the school situation is gonna be one of the top issues in Grafton over the next year or two. And I think the STR ordinance has a huge role to play in that. First of all, in terms of affordable housing availability, and secondly, in terms of our tax rate. Now, I would like to propose that we address part of this problem with the fee. And I certainly don't want to add any administrative burden to the process. And I'm really not sure about the proposal I'm about to make. I think it needs to be investigated. I would suggest it's always been our intent that we should support our local residents. And we should support our second homeowners who spend time in this community and are integrated into the community. What we were concerned about when this ordinance was first gave rise were the corporate owners that have come into numbers of Vermont communities and purchased as a third party LLC owned properties at a high price. And we have, I think, at least two examples of that in Grafton right now. And I think it's possible to distinguish between the homestead owners and the non-homestead owners. Because if you spend more than 182 days in Grafton, you are a homestead owner. And if you don't, you're a non-homestead owner. So that narrows it down to a set of owners who are non-homestead. And then what are the Airbnbs within that set? And then how can we distinguish between the owners who are renting less than 26 weeks or more than 26 weeks while they're here? So to my mind, local residents and second homeowners who fall into the category of less than 26 weeks of rental should get a $50 fee. People who fall into the category of more than 26 weeks of rentals should fall into the $200. To my mind, and I could be wrong, but this is what I'd like to ask the select board to consider. To my mind, that takes care of these owners, and bless them, who come to our community for Thanksgiving or Christmas or the 4th of July. They live in their home 2 weeks. The rest of the time they rent it out. This does not give them an opportunity to integrate into our community. And I've said this before and I'm gonna say it again, I think they benefit from the price point that you can get for rentals in Grafton because we are such a lovely town. And we are a lovely town because we work at it. The final thing I would say is the limit. Honestly, I was so happy that you said 10%, but I think it's too much. If we don't have houses to sell to families, we will not sell houses to families and we will not have a school. I think we should cap it at 35 where it is right now. Not let it go higher than that. And as we lose Airbnbs, let's hope that stay within that cap, some of those will turn into family-owned properties with kids. That's my passion plea, and I appreciate your listening.
Question,
I'm gonna stand because I'm nervous.
good.
Hi, my name is Krista. I'm on the select board in Athens. I'm on the elementary school board with Kathy. And I'm a proud 2006 graduate of Grafton Elementary School. This is my fiance Christian. We're actually getting married in Grafton in July. And I'm here because I love our community and I'm really scared about how I think short-term rentals are really starting to have a ripple effect to hurt us. Before the meeting, I went on to Airbnb and there's currently 21 single-family homes that are not a mother-in-law suite or, something where the person lives there, could live there. These are houses that young professionals like us are looking to buy. Christian and I, for the last year, have been looking to buy a home in Grafton. And now multiple times we have looked at a home. And then only a few weeks later, somebody else bought that house and it is now listed on Airbnb. That actually happened a few months ago. We looked at a house and then only a few weeks later, it's rented out and it's available almost every week. And the problem is we're not competing to buy a home with other families. We're competing against, as she said now, out-of-state corporations or people that don't live here. For our wedding, we looked at Airbnbs in town, and the people renting them out were in Texas, in Colorado. I guess they're the management companies, maybe.
No, they're residents, in one case, a couple of cases, the Texas people they live here, not all,
Yeah. and
it
so-
depends. Oh, right, they're not residents, you're right. Second homeowners.
And so that's
That's
just
right.
been hard for us as we're trying to buy a house, and we're not even competing against people, we're now competing against people that don't have to get a mortgage. I mean, I think the cheapest house in town right now is a 3-bedroom one that's almost $500,000 from when I was looking earlier today. The houses that we were looking at earlier this year were well over 500,000. And it's just tough when we're not competing against other people. I know that there was concerns earlier this year. There was a court challenge against the short-term rental ordinances that towns in the Burlington area had tried. That was challenged, but the court upheld it. And so something that I would like
it's a great first step, but something I'd like the board to consider doing it. Some other towns have done where you can only do it if you're here 6 months in a day. It's just, if we can't afford to buy a home in Grafton, I'm really scared about most people. And we want to be here. And so, thank you for listening.
Thank you, Krista, that good response from you. I know as on the school board, for a couple of years, we've lost families that wanted to buy. They were bidded out, like you said, you can't afford it, so they left. I think Westminster School this year lost, correct me, Krista, if I'm wrong, the 20 students,
It was a big number, and
big number.
I went back and I pulled out my school yearbooks from 1999 and like went through them about how many families moved in. And I thought about the people that had bought houses in town, and it's just hard because there's no way for families to move into town, especially when just a few months ago, we locked out to somebody that's now turned it into an Airbnb.
And if I don't know if I'm allowed to chime in.
You're
but-
allowed to chime in.
But, my concern as a resident of the area and potentially Grafton is not so. I think that cap definitely, I'm glad it's 10%, not 20%, 20% sounds gigantic, but the percentage that I'm most worried about is percentage of new sales, because it seems like, as Krista mentioned, all of the sales that have happened in the last couple of years, not all of them, but many of them have turned into short-term rentals, and that means that the school population is gonna go down before we even get a chance to move here and contribute to it with our own kids. It seems like there's the amount now, but it also seems like the trend line is heading in that direction, and I think the cap is a good step, but I definitely have concerns about the direction of the trend.
Yeah. And the folks that left in Westminster, they left because their rents were so high. So they weren't even owners of the home. And if you follow what's going on in the whole state of Vermont, this is a problem in every small town. Yeah,
I sit on 2 school boards for our area, and it also affects hiring. So we
Oh,
have trying to replace teachers, especially in special needs, which are extremely hard to find and hire, and they literally can't find a place to live. So it affects so many aspects. Probably affects the cheese company, probably affects the inn in hiring decisions. So where are you gonna put them?
I'm certainly not here pushing a sort of, I'm doing my homework, contributing to creating an ordinance that existed, or this process. I don't know, even though, what an ordinance can really do. We have people in town that live here that are multiple owners. And they own multiple dwellings and use others, one is their primary and other dwellings for short-term rentals. So it's not necessarily giant corporations at all. We have folks that live here all year round and have separate. So it's a tricky, and people can do what they want with the other half of the house, the apartment in their house with, it's hard to say, one way or the other. Certainly capping it is a consideration, and
Anna, could you just clarify because you just brought up the point that there could be owners who have separate units. So would the 10% pertain to owners of STR businesses or actual buildings or units?
Yeah, it would be, we talked about this, you didn't help me out here, but I think it's just, you have an address that you would, 1 Main Street, and I have a short-term rental in 1 Main Street, I have an application for that location. If 1 Main Street has the upstairs unit and the downstairs unit, that is not generally a separate application. That would be the owner's application. If, for example, River, Edge, whatever, they have 2 units generally speaking, in our count was based on per address. So there are 2 units in one building. It's that one address that's generally used.
Okay, so if I'm hearing and understanding correctly, it actually means that it could be many more rental units. If
Yes, I
It
think
could be
it
many
could
more.
be. So if somebody, yeah, so. Yes.
yeah, if they, if
That's the, I mean, it can be written any way. I mean, if it's per unit and that's the 35 cap, then we, go ahead.
I'll just mention, when I did the count over a year ago, I did count it as per unit. So for instance, there was at the time a property on Eastman Road with about 8 different cabins to be rented, and each one of those cabins I listed separately.
Is that
Which
contributing to the 35?
Which then would contribute to the 35.
Okay,
So,
So I've said it incorrectly.
okay, so this would be important to make clear that, and make sure that it's understood that it is the number of rental units,
Yeah,
not,
point taken.
not number of addresses or owners.
Right, so when we went to the listers and got the number of dwellings, potential dwellings. That did not include somebody putting 4 cabins on their one address. For someone to put 4, I mean, I don't know how, I mean, if someone wants to have glamping on their, put a. I don't know how you do that, I don't know how you.
Well, tell me, unit, if you have a dwelling, and you have units, each unit has, how many people are they gonna hold?
I don't know, but the count. The idea that someone would, if you had 8 cabins, would fill out 8 applications. And therefore, that would use up 8 slots. It's a double-edged sword, I mean, there are plenty of people that, use their Airbnbs and are, it's okay, because we, on the flip side of it, we've also heard from this group in our town that we care about people visiting our town and having places to stay, and contributing to our income. So it's tricky, I can't answer it one way or the other, it's something we can look into, ask other towns how they handle it, and research it further.
I also think too, historically, Grafton, even before short stay units came into effect, Grafton historically has been very high in their sale value.
Yeah.
So I think as the market keeps going higher, these people that are coming from far away, their income levels are much higher. And they have the possibility, they can buy these with no mortgage, and not all of them. I'd say at least 3/4, if not, probably not quite a half, are probably second homeowners in Grafton. And if you've only got 35 short stay units, that's not even close to half of the second homeowners that own these houses. But it's the market, and it's all over Vermont, that's driving the unaffordability to buy a house in Grafton. I'm not saying the short stay don't contribute to it, but it's the market that is stopping people buying houses that could afford them in our area.
I couldn't agree with you more, Kim, and I think we saw evidence of that when we listened to Hardy's presentation on this phenomenon called I have to even look it up every time I try to say it, which is the common level appraisal analysis, which is now going to do a 3-year running at average of the sale prices, the actual sale prices of the homes in Grafton. And this is driving everyone's education tax rate up, because the sale prices are going up, as Kim just said. And in this analysis that Hardy went over with us, and he can explain it much better than I, the comparison is almost a double, the one yield is a 16%, a 16 cent per thousand rate, and the other is the 22 cent per thousand rate. I mean,
The extent to which short-term rentals contribute to that,
well, that.
I don't
think
know.
that-
I don't think.
We can figure that out though. That would be easy to figure out, Anna, because there are a certain number of houses that are sold that go into this average, and you
Okay.
could actually do the work to figure out how many of those are short-term rentals. Because we already have anecdotal data from Krista that this is happening. People are actually out there trying to find a house and it's being purchased or by an Airbnb.
Our thing was like 4 months ago. Yeah, it was probably 4 months ago,
I think
so.
we know which one they're talking about.
This has been going on, as Kim says, this has been going on.
Yeah,
as
look
long
at
as I can remember.
Yeah.
Like, going back for 4 years, some kind of stuff. Edmund William, nobody remembers him, his son had to move to Chester and buy a house because he couldn't afford to live there 4 years ago. The big difference was back then, the Lincoln Foundation owned a lot of houses in town, they rented them out to families who then went to the school. That's a huge change because those rentals are no longer there. And it was almost like an artificial group of homes that you could, and they did it for affordable rents as well. So that's gone, and those houses are now being purchased in, but this market is, it's been going on forever, it's not a new thing, it's not a new thing. It's just there's nowhere else to live.
But then on the flip side, we're not supposed to endorse tourism,
Yeah.
and we're trying to cut it down. But at one time, I can remember, we wanted antique shops and little trinket shops, we used to have 3 and 4 of them. And now
And
you
regular
don't want
Airbnbs,
to.
regular Airbnbs, you know.
So it's like, what do you do?
I really don't see it, to respectfully say, Kim, I don't see it as shutting tourism down. I see it as finding a balance in our community that allows for tourism, and we are blessed with a lot of tourism here in our town, and it contributes to our economy. And the fact that we have got to have some families living here in order to keep our school.
Well, we could talk and talk and talk
Yeah.
for this for a long time. I think we've had some good discussion,
We'll take a look at some of those numbers but I think that the bottom line is the ordinance was meant, it was meant to create an application, a structure, so we know where they are. Will we solve all the problems in the world? No, we won't, but I don't know, other than saying, putting together a whole different, I don't know what else, where to go, other than taking a look at those numbers and clarifying the units. Which I'd certainly be happy to do, we'd be happy to do.
Anna, could you just be real specific when you look at it again about fees?
Yes, I
Because
think that,
really
I think we thought that
I really hate to encumber our full-time residents or second homeowners who with $200.
I think that there was a lot of feedback that based on the nightly rents, that wasn't unreasonable. I got that from we got that from a lot of people, and so we put in a flat rate, based on what people were able to get, but it wouldn't stop anybody, make or break, but putting a sliding scale is incredibly difficult to monitor. So that was, we were looking at we do not have the administrative capacity really to do that.
and if you look at what people are getting just for a weekend or for a
Yeah,
night, they're getting over $235 to $200 million a night. They can easily afford
Pass it
a
on.
higher fee if they're gonna do that.
Typically.
Having said that, we really need to move on, we have other business to do, and we have an executive session to go to. Any other business?
I just have one quick thing.
Yeah.
Al Sands called and he is a volunteer at the village park along with 3 other individuals. And they were wondering if they could set up some type of meeting with the Parks Committee on your schedule, they just kind of wanna meet you, have a discussion and talk about future plans for. We just wanted to mention that, we can communicate outside of the meeting, but I just wanted to have it on record that I asked. That's all.
Any other business? Public comment? Sam?
Yeah, I'd just like to, excuse me. I'd just like to, thank Joe Polio for his years of service in the community. That's it. Short and
Thank you,
sweet.
Sam.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
I like to thank Joe and welcome Buzz.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Welcome, Buzz. All right, next regular meeting is April 7th. That's 6 p.m. here at the town hall. You're not leaving because you're gonna be part of the executive session. Sorry, I know it's your birthday. Yeah, I'll make a motion to enter into executive session.
Motion for executive session, so moved. No, you weren't, you weren't, it's just that we looked at, how to manage it, it's like, I mean, we could say no.